Hi, everybody. This is Chris Hampton, and welcome again to the CHAMPIAM Summit. I am excited to introduce you to some of the speakers that we are having on this platform. 47 of some of the top speakers that you have not gotten a chance to hear yet, but I want to introduce you to my world and their world together, and they're going to shine bright, and we're going to learn from each other. But one of the speakers that we're sharing today is important. He's my mentor. I call him my mentor. You have certain places when you go that you come in contact with, that the moment you come in contact with that brand, that environment, your brand is so much better. I'll give you the example. When I first started CHAMPIAM, it looked like do it yourself. But when I came in contact with Shawn from the Leadership Experience Tour, and working with his programs and working with his team and just being able to have that environment where you can be poured into, it didn't take long. It took like literally 3 months and my brand was like totally changed. So I have the pleasure of introducing you to some of you the first time, Dr. Shawn from the Leadership Experience Tour. Let me introduce you to his reel right here. Hello, Dr. Fair. How are you, sir?
Hey, Chris. I'm doing well, man. Thanks for inviting me on the platform.
Thanks for being here. Again, to those that don't know, you will know today, Dr. Shawn is the creator and the founder of the Leadership Experience Tour, which is one of the #1 branding sites for speakers to come and develop their message and share it to the world. Dr. Fair, could you just give us a little bit more about what the Leadership Tour is and probably do a little bit better introduction than I did?
Yeah, no worries, Chris. The Leadership Experience Tour is a platform that helps to develop aspiring speakers and even seasoned speakers. We put them in a situation where we give them the best quality footage. We allow them to get in front of TV cameras so that they can put their message out there about who they are and what they do and what separates them from everyone else that's in their category. We surround them around other speakers and coaches that are trying to go to the same places that they're going. And in many cases, they're already there. So it's a phenomenal network to be a part of. And we also do their branding photography work as well. So if you are a speaker at any level, coming to the tour and getting on our stage is something that everyone should consider.
For speakers that are just starting their journey, would this be a good platform, and why would this be a good platform?
It'll be a great platform because most beginning speakers, they really haven't been on a real stage. And if they're going to be in this business, they're going to have to apply for speaking opportunities. And if they don't have professional stage footage, it's really hard for them to get a competitive advantage in that marketplace. You know, the other things that we do is we developed their online presence, their online profiles. So, for example, if someone has referred you or you're applying for a paid speaking opportunity and the event planner has some interest in you, well, that decision is generally not made at the time that they get the application, and it's generally not made at the time that they receive the referral. It is made after the event planner or the decision maker has done their due diligence on the actual speaker. In other words, they've checked them out on Google. And if they Google their name and nothing comes up about them, about their platform, about their speaking, nobody is validating who they are and what they've done over a period of time, they can't be competitive in this marketplace. If they go to their social media profiles and they don't see them on other stages, and they don't see that they do things in the realm of speaking on a regular basis, it's going to be hard for them to be competitive. If they don't have a website that's not aesthetically pleasing, that doesn't connect with their target audience, it's going to be hard for them to be competitive. So when they come to the tour, we give them the opportunity to reshape and to reform all of those different areas that I consider to be foundational if you're going to grow a speaking business.
One of the things I learned from you, just from your experience, is that, and I've taken this to the people that I coach as well, is that this industry is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And it almost seems overwhelming because a lot of the things, like when I brought my brand to you, I felt like I was somewhere, but then you took me from somewhere to everywhere, and it didn't take much to do it, and it wasn't overwhelming, but I had to take my time. What would you say to people that were in my position? And like I said, they were in the do it yourself.
Yeah. Well, I would say the same thing that you just said. It's a marathon. This is a 3-year journey. That's if you're really good at this on stage. It's a 3-year journey. Now, some people may get there in 2, and some people, there's some anomalies that may get there in 1. But for the most part, most people, it takes 3 years to build a speaking business that replaces a significant income. So a lot of folks think that, you know what, let me just work on my craft. If I'm a great speaker, I got a great gift, I deliver a positive message, it resonates with people, that's it. That's the end all be all. Well, you would be deceiving yourself if you think that that's going to help you build your business. That's just one of many parts that you have to master. Number 2, if you don't have a platform along with the speaking, I can promise you, you will fail, right? Because it's not like you're going to start having 3 and 4 and 5 speaking events per month, and they're going to be paying you $20,000 right off the rip. It doesn't work that way. Right. So you have to have a platform where you can bring people to you and generate revenue, as well as people inviting you to their stage and generating revenue. That's number 2. Number 3 is that if you don't have a signature event, it's also a very tough time for you. You have to put yourself in a position to show your gift up close and personal to your target audience that allows you to sell your platform. So these 3 components are absolutely necessary. And in order to get to the point to where people will visit you, there are some foundational things that need to be in place. And that first year is generally when that happens.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that first year is, I was speaking for 5 years before, about 3 years before I met you. And then now it's been about 3 years since we've been in contact. But one of the things I've learned again was presence. And I learned that from you. Presence, platform, and process. That's what I just heard you say. Presence, platform, and process. And what I liked about your tour is you have a collaboration of people. It's not just you. So you didn't get there by yourself. Could you talk about the value of having a team, the right team members that will get you to where you need to get to?
Well, I think you know this, is that most people generally have some form of vision when they start this business. What a lot of people don't understand, that you can't build a business, no matter what kind of business it is, by yourself. It requires that you have others. And the question becomes, well, why is that necessary? It's necessary because I'm not great at all things. Some people, they're great at being on the stage. They deliver an engaging and a compelling and attractive and entertaining and educational message. They're good at that, but they're no good at marketing, right? They're great on the stage, but they're no good at branding. They're great on the stage, but they're no good at photography. They're great on the stage, but they're no good at video work. They're great on the stage, and they're no good at sales. At the end of the day, we all have blind spots. And the only way that you can fill those blind spots is by putting in other gifted and talented people within your atmosphere to help you with those areas. And if they're not helping you personally with them, you're learning from them, you're gleaning from them so that you can cover those blind spots.
So it has to be a level of also trust that's there too in relationship. How do you do that? Because most speakers that I run into in this community that we see, they like to be islands to themselves. They don't want to trust people. They want to hold stuff close to them, but I don't see that on your platform. Why? Uh, why is there a difference? Where does that difference come from?
Well, it's a learning process, Chris. I didn't always get that right. I brought in people that didn't have my best interest in mind towards the beginning. And the funny thing is that when you're partnering with people or you're collaborating with people or you're bringing people that's on your team, before you make a critical decision like that, you have to know who they are. You have to watch their behaviors. And watching the behavior, for a month or two is not enough. You have to get to know that person. And if that person is not high in integrity, that person doesn't have great character, that person doesn't lead by example, that person doesn't have the same passion or the enthusiasm that you have about this business and the areas that you need their help in. If they don't have those things, that probably is not the right person for you. But also understand that even when you find the right person won't always be with you. Sometimes they're there for just a certain amount of time and they've done what they were supposed to do for you in that time frame. And then you move on to another person that can help you take your business to the next level. You have to be discerning those things, and just remember that the most important thing when you have people in your atmosphere that has helped you, whether they stay or they don't stay, is maintain the relationship.
Powerful, powerful, and I believe that, and I've it's almost like a cult where I've seen some followers where people are having attitude problems and breakdowns because people are leaving their circle or leaving, and really what you're complaining is they're leaving your funnel, and but I really understand that I don't own anybody as a trainer. I don't own everybody, and I think you've given me that foundation as a leader to be able to say we own nobody, but we really appreciate and honor those that put the time together. Um,
That's
the thought was this is about like really the making of a brand, and I really, like I said, I didn't realize how small the speaking world was until I started to do this. But your brand is an international, global. I say global brand, not and I say international is a destination. Global is about a relationship. So you have a really a global brand. And what parts of the world has the LET tour affected?
I mean, it has affected the UK, Europe in general, Canada, and the United States. I mean, those are the three areas that we've done business over the past 10 years. And we're looking to go into other spaces as well, but it's all about timing, and it's all about the right opportunity, and it's all about the right connections. But if I may, Chris, a lot of people, when they use the term the brand, a lot of folks don't really understand what that is exactly. I mean, they hear that terminology, and some people they kind of tie it in with the word marketing and all those similar. They are two different things.
So define that for us, because I was you about to go into my next question. Define what a strong brand is.
A strong brand is a organization that has clearly defined who they are and has distinguished themselves differently from anyone else in a particular category. That's a brand.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing that we pride ourselves in at the Leadership Experience Tour is making sure that we are different than everyone else that's in our category. In other words, we are trying to add things into our program that clearly sets us apart from everyone else that's putting people on stages. That's what branding really is. In other words, if your brand and this other person's brand is the same, then what you guys are doing is you're sharing a brand. You're sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
So the question becomes, are you really exercising actually what a brand really is? And most people, they're not. It distinguishes yourself from everybody else. And if your business and your company and your organization is like every other company, you don't have a brand.
Right. You're sharing space.
You're sharing space.
Wow. And I think that's so important because we think the brand is just Nike, but Nike, you could tell Nike from Adidas. right? You could tell the difference. They're not sharing the speaker space because they're two totally different brands, but the same product with different brands. The way how they brand and who they talking to.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. How does that apply for speakers in a more practical way? I know we were talking about speakers, but as a speaker brand, how can you break that down and make that a little bit more applicable for speakers?
Well, absolutely. It's Chris. There are a lot of good speakers here in the United States and abroad. Good speakers do not build great speaking businesses. In order for you to have a great business, you have to be exceptional.
Mm,
On one of the calls that we just had, we talked about having a hit record, right? We talk about the Temptations and how long it took for them to get a hit record. And every song that Smokey Robinson made for the Temptations, there was a quality assurance group. There was about 15 of them that would listen to the songs, and Barry Gordy would ask them, is this a hit or is it not a hit? And if not, if every one of them didn't raise their hand, he would say, scrap it.
wow.
Keep moving. So when you think about your message, the question becomes, is your message a hit or is it just a good message? Because if it's not a hit message, then it's not going to take you to where you need to go. And the question becomes, what is in a good message? Number one, you have to be authentic in your delivery, right? People can tell when you are a liar. They can tell when you are fake when you're on the stage. That's number one. Number two, you have to be able to do three things really good on stage: engage, educate, and entertain. I tell folks all the time, Chris, I got a touch of ADHD. It don't take much for me to fall asleep on you. So if you're not engaging, I'll nod right off. And
Hmm.
number two, I wanna hear a message. I want to hear something that expands my own personal capacity. But number three, I want to enjoy listening to that message while I'm expanding my capacity. Those three things, if you master those three and you're authentic, you'll find that you will separate yourself from 90% of the speakers that's getting on stages every now and then today.
I could tell I've been influenced by you because I was sharing those same things in a conversation before, and we have a lot of people that have information. Information is not enough in the communication. We got to be able to remember keep that in when you talk about the inspire and being able to be making it fun to learn. A lot of people say I got my degree, but they're just giving me the information and we nod off. I think everybody has ADD, so
Yeah,
we really got to make it. It's more than just communication. Is more than just information.
yeah. And I'll take it just a step further. When you talk about a hit record, the one thing that is memorable is the melody,
Hmm.
right? And also, every hit record obviously has a hook. Well, in every presentation, if you're trying to be different, you should have a punchline in your
Hmm.
message.
Yeah.
And the question becomes, if you have a punchline, then the question becomes, do you know how to deliver an effective punchline? Right. So like all of these different variables are important. And if you're trying to do this at the highest level, you have to be intentional about when those things actually occur in your message. That means you've thought the message through, you've written the message out, you understand where you want to have your comedic relief, you understand where those punchlines are going to come into play, you understand when you're going to have your audience reflect and go back and look at their past, you help them to understand changes that need to be made in their lives. Like you have to be intentional about what you're trying to accomplish with the people that are in front of you.
It really sounds like you're telling them that you're the guide on the journey. So you got to guide them through this. You're not leading them through the same thing at the same time. You've been here before. So,
Absolutely.
yes. So that's great, and that's you just gave like a really good coaching section right there. That you got. And I don't think you realize the value of what you're hearing right now, but that is valuable. On that. Let me just help because again, I really want people to take responsibility of their brand, and understanding that there's a journey in building this brand, and it was the consistency that you did that got you to where you were. Uh, could you share how you started the LET experience?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a long story, but let me see if I can condense that down for you. But in 2015, the company that I was working for, I was the vice president of training for CRDN, which was the largest textile restoration company in the world. They eliminated my position. They turned my position into a management position. And and when I got that news, there was a lot of grief that I felt, because of the separation from the organization. I had people that I was close to, but at the same time, I really didn't want to be there. But because I didn't leave on my terms, I left on their terms, I experienced grief. Now, after 24 hours, that grief went away. From that point, there was nothing in me that wanted to go back to corporate America. Nothing. And so at that point, that was the first time that I started to dump 8 hours into my own business. And I want to say this to people because I was doing things to build a business while I was working my 9 to 5. But you can't really build a business when you're working from 9 to 5. You can only build the foundation of the business from when you're working a 9 to 5. You can only build the business when you're working in your business from 9 to 5. And when that happened, all my energies was going into corporations and helping executive leaders and mid-level managers understand what servant leadership was all about. And Chris, I was getting opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and I was posting on social media every city I was going to, every state I was going to, every company I was going to work with. And after doing that for 2 years, I caught the attention of Imagine Theaters. And one day, the director of Imagine Theaters called me up and said, Shawn, we've been watching you for a few years, and we were wondering if we could have a conversation with you. And I said, what kind of conversation? And they said, well, we would like to have it in person. Well, I said, I'm in Dallas right now. I don't get back to Detroit next week. And he told me that he would be in his office from Monday to Thursday from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And if I just come in, I don't need an appointment, just come in, his assistant would take me back and I can have the conversation with him. And when I walked in the door, he was on his phone. He did like this. Just give me 1 minute, Shawn. And when he got off the phone, this is what he said. He said, Shawn, we at Imagine Theaters are in the Shawn Fair business. And my question was to him, well, what do you mean by that? He says, over the past 2 years, we've been watching you post where you're going and what companies you've been working with. And by the way, not one time did they ever like my post. Not one time did they ever make a comment on any of my posts for 2 years. They didn't. And we were just wondering if you can help us solve a problem. We have a lull in our theaters from 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. And we were just wondering if you could take your corporate audience from the corporate classroom, take them from the hotel conference room, and then bring them to the big screen at Imagine Theaters and turn your leadership training into a production. And I says, oh, really? They said, yes. I says, okay, well, what do I get for doing this? And he said to me that any theater in 21 states, any one of them, our house is your house. You don't have to pay for the venue.
Wow.
I said, oh, really? What else I get? He says that you'll get a marquee in whatever theater that you choose 3 months before every event that you have there, along with Black Panther. We'll put you right there next to Black Panther. I said, oh, really? What else do I get?
What else?
He says that any sponsorships or any monetary gifts that you get that's outside of the theater, it's all yours. I said, oh, really? What else? He says, well, the ticket sales. He says, what would you charge? I says, I would charge $100 per person. And they said, well, all we would like from you is for you to give us 50% of your ticket sales. That's all we ask for. Now, I want you to understand, Chris, is that when I did my first event, I sold it out. That was 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. Now, I know you my age, or you roughly my age, that's matinee time.
Yeah.
right? So that means that tickets were $7 to attend a movie during matinee. Now they're doing the math on this. He's filling up one show, one theater. He's charging $100. We're getting 50. That means that he's selling out 7 movie theaters at one time.
At one time.
So I did one show, and guess what? I started getting opportunities I never had before. I did another show. I brought in 2 other speakers with me. They started getting opportunities they never had before. I did another show, and I brought in 4 speakers. They started getting opportunities they never had before. And all of a sudden, I said, wait, hold on a second. Wait a minute. If they're getting opportunities, and they're getting on now, I consider it to be my stage, even though it's Imagine stage. What if I started to charge people to get on stage where they can showcase their gift in front of a live audience? Well, that's where the Leadership Experience Tour first started, and it's evolved into a branding platform for speakers, where now we sell over 32 different products that help speakers and coaches expand and build their business. The same CRM program that I have, the same ad campaigns that's been developed for me, the same people that do that for me will do it for anyone that comes to my tour. The same people that build my bios and my speaker proposals are the same people that will build your bios and your speaker proposals. The same people that do all my publications and things of that nature are the same people that will do your publications. So everything that you need to build a business, we now have it. And let me just say that when you're in this business, you have to evolve. If you're not evolving and you're not growing, you will never keep up with the competition.
That's been my experience. Now I've been with the Leadership Experience Tour now. Going on 3 years? Wow,
It's been a
about
while.
3 years, and every year it's always something that's different, and that stretches me because that means every program that I do. And here's a point I want to put to you all that are listening out here: that if you got mentors, your mentor is a mirror reflection of what you can be. So that's why you need to be selective on who your mentors are, because if you're at the same spot that you were 3 years ago, you need to change your mentor. Because as I look at what I do, I've expanded because my mentor expands. And I'm doing this tour right now. You're being on the CHAMPIAM Summit because of the leadership and the wisdom of what I've learned from my teacher, which is Dr. Shawn Fair. So you need to be able to adjust and find out who your mentors are. If you're in the same spot, run around with the same people, and your network is the same old group of people, you need to change. Because I connected with the Shawn Fair Leadership Experience Tour, and my network changes. The speakers that you see me hang around are evolving, and what happens is what I've learned from you is community. That was another thing that the brand has attracted, is a strong sense of community. And I have not yet seen a speaker organization or a speaker group other than what I'm building now because of you, that has a community the way that you do. Could you talk about the community? And was that intentional, or did it just happen?
Well, it started off at just bringing speakers on and giving them exposure, and it turned into this whole branding, organization. But the one thing that we quickly learned is that when you provide value for someone one time and there's no other connection, then you start to have distance with that person. And we didn't want that. So what we started to do is to have these calls every Tuesday at no charge, where we continue to educate speakers, right? So they can continue to expand and grow. But they start to realize that when they come on these calls, they are truly a part of a community. And it's not just me talking on these calls. We allow the other speakers to provide value to the network. They get a chance to speak. If we're talking on a particular lesson, they get a chance to talk about that lesson to the other speakers that are on that call, right? You can't grow by yourself. The best way to grow, the fastest way to grow, is through collaboration. So, Chris, as your platform is growing and expanding, there's going to be a time where Shawn and Chris are getting together and they're collaborating. They're doing a big event. Dr. Marcia is collaborating. We're doing even a bigger event. And Dr. Barbara and all these different folks that are part of the tour who are now doing signature events, because we have about 28 of them that are happening across the country, because I share the secret to this. Most mentors, and let me just go back to the mentors real quick because you brought that up. A lot of mentors out there are charging 40, 50, 60 grand and work with them for a year. And you're getting nothing out of it but spending 40, 50, $60,000 a year. Understand that getting information is needed. But if you got to spend 50 to 60 grand, but you don't have a CRM or some kind of customer management system, then you're not going to build your business. If you don't have ads or ad campaigns that you can run, and you don't have the finances to do that, you're probably not going to build your business, because all the social media sites are squelching you. You're going to only reach about 10% of your audience. So ads are going to be absolutely necessary for you to do that. All of the major speakers out there, Grant Cardone and Les Brown and John Maxwell and all these different guys, are spending $1 million a month on ad campaigns. What makes you think that you're not going to have to do that at some point? It's going to be necessary. But if you're spending all your money here, but you don't have all of the necessary tools to build a business, you still lose. So if you're not working with a mentor that's not willing to divulge their resources to you, they say go figure it out and find your own resources, that's probably not the right mentor to have.
Well, and I appreciate that, because that cut years off the learning curve. And that's the same model that I'm using when I'm training people now. It's the same model that you displayed to me about there's no secrets. It's like we should be always constantly evolving. If you're constantly evolving as a teacher, then you always have more to give. If you level off as a teacher, then you're going to start trying to hide your deficit by trying to get people to come to you. And that's what I appreciate. And I think that's what I've learned a lot just about mentoring is what really proved to me that you were a mentor is when you said reproduce what I did.
Yeah.
And I called, like, I was kind of taken aback when I said, well, I want to do something similar to this in New Jersey. Is that okay? And you were like, dude, you don't bring me to New Jersey. You be in New Jersey, because that's where you're at. Do you know how many people looked at you kind of weird when you do that? Because that's not what mentors out there do. And that sets you above a class above the rest, because the end result is not keeping you in the funnel, but to make sure that you really do reproduce what you're learning from it. And I appreciate that as well. Just as we come to the end, I want you to really just share, if you can share one thing that you learned that was like a challenge when you first started building your platform.
I'll tell you the most important thing, and a lot of people they really don't think this through, but surrounding yourself with the right people is critical. When people tell you they can do this for you and they can do that for you, make sure that you're vetting those people. And also it's critical for you to understand that they are people of integrity and character. Understand that even with those people, there's always people want to help you no matter what, but there's always something behind the help. And it's nothing wrong with that. Just understand what that is, so you can make sure if that's something you want to assist them with as they're assisting you.
That's good.
And if it's a good match, then let's go. Let's go. You help me, I'm going to help you. Because don't bring somebody on to help you, but not give back to that individual. So I'm talking about on the other side. Don't just have people come in and you don't help them. You'll find if you do this business and you hide integrity and you put all the right resources and tools in place and you're consistent in doing the work. See, a lot of people don't want to do the work, Chris, but if you're consistent in doing the work and you're surrounding yourself with the right people, you'll win. You'll win.
Well, I definitely appreciate having this conversation with you. I don't listen, guys. I don't know if you realize the foundational blocks that you've been getting, but they're worth a lot more than what you got here. You got on here for free, so you're getting free lessons from one of the greatest mentors that I've come across in my building of my platform. Shawn, tell us more about how the aspiring speaker that's looking at us right now and just looking at what's happening at the CHAMPIAM Summit, and they're saying, I want to do that. They're looking at what you're doing and say, I want to do that. Tell them the next step about connecting with you, because we want to be a resource to these people. We want to not just introduce them to you, but we want to connect them to you. So how can they connect? How can they be part of your platform? How can they come out and be a part of this leadership experience tour?
Yeah. The Leadership Experience Tour, just so you guys, if you don't know, is October the 23rd through October the 27th this year. It's a full 3-day event, and it's one of the most amazing 3 days that you will have as a speaker or a coach, or even entrepreneurs should be getting on the stage. All you have, there's 2 things you can do. You can reach out to me if you want to. You can just call me, 586-690-1879. You can just call me direct. And I may not get to you right at that moment, but I will get to you sometime that day. You can text me there as well, and I'll respond. You can also go to www.leadershipexperiencetour.com and simply send us a message there. And either myself or Marcus Wright will give you a call, and we'll get you set up for a quick interview, and then we'll show you the entire platform in visual format from top to bottom. So www.leadershipexperiencetour.com. Feel free to reach out to me at 586-690-1879. And if you're serious about building your brand, if you're serious about building your speaking and your coaching business, and you truly want to understand how this works, come to the Leadership Experience Tour.
Thank you, Shawn. Thank you. And again, this is for, if you are that aspiring speaker that wants to go to the next level, connect. I'm always trying to give you resources that are going to take you to the next level. And who does this? Who introduces you to the mentor and say connect? I am, because I'm secure what we can give you as well as what he's going to give you too. You're definitely going to deal with someone who's going to look at your platform and see it at the next level. So again, thank you, Dr. Shawn Fair, for being a part of the CHAMPIAM Summit. And again, I just honor you for just the words that you have placed into my life. People actually know who CHAMPIAM is because of you. My first experience of coming to the LET tour was walking into the hotel and hearing them say, the champ is here. There's no other good feeling of going into a room of people that you don't know, have not yet met, and they recognize your brand. That's the power of a brand, and that's the power of making sure that you're connecting with the right people that can help you build your brand to the next level. You can connect with CHAMPIAM Summit. You can connect with Dr. Shawn Fair. Either way, we're both going to take you to the same place. So again, thank you, Dr. Shawn. Thank you for being a part of this. And I know that our audience has enjoyed learning from you. Connect, 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 people. That's the only way you're going to go to the next level to leave your mark. I'm Chris Hampton, CHAMPIAM, and thank you for another session with the CHAMPIAM Summit.